Hello, it's me and I'm back, and for today's video I got a couple recommendations to do a whole tutorial on how to do digital art. The thing with that is there's so much to digital art that I'm still a noob in my opinion. Thank you, Rhea, for helping me stay on board of how to do things. But anyway, I thought I would just share a few tips. Also, this video took so long to start because I got a new tripod and I'm super happy about it, so I no longer have to use a selfie stick duct taped to my table. Also, it comes with this nifty little remote. You just click this and I can start and stop the video, so that's great. But yeah, so here are just a couple tips. I hope you enjoy. So first off, before we get started into any art stuff, my main tip is to get a little smudge guard like this one. I know a lot of people who do digital art and don't have one, but for me personally, I like it a lot. It works really well, and even though it's really big, even with these nails on, it's still like, it gets the job done basically. And the next one that goes along with that same tip is to get a stylus like this one that has like a sharper tip. This won't scratch your screen, I promise you, if you get a good one. Mine was on Amazon for like 20 bucks, I think. So yeah, that's the first tip, because you can get closer details and it's less wobbly. My next tip number 2, I guess, is if you go to your brushes, this is in Procreate, by the way. Not all drawing programs have this, but go to the brush you use for drawing, click on it, and say Streamline. I put Streamline at about 50% because if you look at it without Streamline, it looks really wobbly. So like that's just a straight line basically, but then with Streamline, at about 50, it kind of like makes things all nice and curved, and it makes things a lot easier. Number 3 is use layers to your advantage. Like if you click up here, it usually looks something like this. You can see all these layers, and you just add a plus and a plus. And so basically it means that you can't affect something on another layer. So if I were to draw something on the top layer, if I go to the next layer, I can't erase it. But if I go to the layer I drew it on, I can erase it like this. So it just makes things a whole lot easier for you and your process. So yeah, that one's really helpful. When I did a speed drawing on the channel like a year or 2 ago, I think it's privated now, I didn't know what layers were or how to use them. So yeah, just layers. That's basically the main tip, I guess, of this whole video, is just use layers. Next tip is for shading. So for shading, this is just something new I learned. Again, thank you, Rhea, so much. Is with shading, you can choose like a darker color, like it could be any color of the rainbow you want, or more than that, like teal or pink or something. And then you go to your layer that you did all your shading on, and you click N, and opacity is at max, and you can shift around the slider, and you can see at no opacity it goes down to nothing, and then you can see the shading start to come in. I really like strong shading, so I liked having it on 55. Opacity is nice. Tip number 5 is on a current piece of art I'm working on. Is if you accidentally mess up or don't like the size or shape of something, I'm gonna get rid of the layer I'm using to draw on, just make it easier to see, I guess. You go to this little squiggle up here, and it's on freehand for me. You can take something like the nose, for example, and you click the little arrow, and then you can move it around. You can make it bigger or smaller. You can rotate it. But I personally like where I had my nose, so I'm not gonna deal with that right now. But that's tip number 5. If you go to this little wrench thing, you can go to drawing guide, and it will add these little squares, which I used when I made the bottom portion of the picture where I cut it off to make an even line. I will admit I rarely use drawing guide because sometimes I think it can be kind of a pain. But you can edit drawing guide if your drawing guide is on. Like, you can change the color if you want to be like white, pink, orange, any of these really. You can change the thickness as well, the opacity, and you can change the grid size. So that's kind of cool. There's also assisted drawing. I personally don't use drawing guide very much, but for those of you who think you'd like it, then that's that. So those are all the tips I have for you. Do what you will. Now these were on Procreate, but there's plenty of other free drawing apps that are just as good. I know a lot of people say that who use Procreate, but Procreate is $10, so I know there's a lot of people who don't want to spend that kind of money on a drawing program, especially if they don't know if they'll like it or not. For me, I just took the chance, and I'm glad I did. But I recommend you get Procreate, or there's IBIS Paint X. IBIS Paint X, that one's really good. Another one I've tried is Sketchbook, but I don't know how well that one worked. It was pretty good, but it was kind of confusing. So do what you will with that one. There's plenty of other ones too, but my top 2 favorite drawing apps I've ever tried were IBIS Paint X and Procreate. So yeah, just you can try out any app you want. They're IBIS Paint X and Procreate are really similar, not in the format, but the way that things work. And so I think that you could learn on IBIS Paint X, which is what I did, and then you can later download Procreate if you choose. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. Again, thank you so much, Rhea, for teaching me most of these, because I'm not great at digital art. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed this video. Bye. See you later. Bye. Something I forgot to mention is I've been using Procreate since January, and it's June as I'm filming this, so I've had it for about 6 months, and I'm still learning things, so if you get it and you're really confused, don't worry, I still am.